Hey, we're back, and I'm interested to talk about growing from clone versus seed and this idea of supporting biodiversity, growing with seed, and the differences of how seeds have different phenotypes and how to get diversity from that. And also the nomenclature for how we describe what kind of plant we ultimately want to grow.
Huh. Well, I guess the nomenclature is the first things I ask is when fitting somebody for genetics is or seeds is like what's it being grown for? How's it being grown? And what are your top priorities? And so sometimes it's an autoflower, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's a photo period, sometimes it's a regular, which is males and females. Sometimes it's just females, feminized. And then after that, we get into the nuances of like, say they are in upstate New York, but they want a photo period for a greenhouse. It gets rid of a lot of things and then it selects for, and then they want purple and they want it for extraction. And all of a sudden it whittles down all the different selections to the ones that are the most superior choices for that particular event.
You bring up a great topic. I think that there's definite lanes for growing seed and definitely lanes for growing clones. Um, as we have evolved in the seed business to growing much more stabilized seed on the farms that we play with, I've been a clone guy. I can grow you a 22-foot clone high and produce amazing amounts of flower. But what you mentioned was biodiversity in the genetics. And cloning is an exact replication of a plant.
There's still phenotypes though,
You'll get a little
based
bit
on the environment they're growing in. Light
right.
depth versus full term is an easy one.
Phenomenal response because one thing that you've always brought up, which is very interesting, latitude, um, environment. There's so much more to the plant. I can grow it in New York or I can grow it in California and have it be two completely different
And
experiences.
that
So
to me is the thrilling information that's coming out about clones in a bunch of different environments.
I
Because
was
like seeds are one thing, clones are another, and how they express that peculiarity of the terroir or location they're growing in.
I moved into clone production and cloning because of um, the duplication to be able to scale. In large scale production, that was the only way that we could really make sure that we were hitting our marks was having all the plants grow the same, treat them all the same. Not everybody could do it, but we could produce 30,000 or 50,000 clones at a time. But now we could produce a million seeds. And it's one thing, like I said, 30,000 starts to push the envelope. 50,000 or 100,000, that's an amazing amount of clones. And to be able to do this thing with timing, my opinion is seed is so much better. And I don't want to just say it's the taproot. When you see how that plant grows, it's explosive growth. I've never had a clone plant grow at the rate that a seed plant grows. They look completely different. The stalk, the branches, the leaves, all of it. Even if it's the same genetic, and somebody says, "Oh, that's a seed of that," you can easily walk up to the plant and go, "Seed plant, clone plant." But in each one of their positions, I think there's an advantage to running a clone plant in certain aspects. And Reg, you mentioned it all. You mentioned the full gambit of seeds, and so is it an auto? Is it a fem? Is it a this that? So explain to the people a little bit more about that.
Well, it's based on like I like to reverse engineer people's seasons with them. So it's like how many seasons do you want to have? Like let's talk just the home gardener for instance. Like maybe they want they the home gardener could benefit from more diversity. So they'll pick a seed line for instance that has multiple faces in the same line. That's acceptable to them. Depending on if they have limits on the amount of plant numbers. Like in California, you can grow 6. Like they're most likely going to want all females so that they don't have to pull any males, so they can stay under that 6 number. So that means that they're more into the feminized seed selection, for instance.
I think let's talk about the first time grower. What would you tell the first time grower to grow from a seed or a clone? And what
Well,
would you tell them to grow?
just it would be just grow. It's such a personal thing that it's like just grow, seed or clone. I would of course say grab a seed, put it in your pocket. When you get where you're going, put it in the soil. A clone's a
Put it
little
in your
tougher.
mouth, put it in the
Yeah, like
soil,
you
and
put it
call
in the
it
soil. Yeah, give it
good.
a little water. Watch what happens. A lot of people are telling me that they suggest auto flowers to people for their first time,
And
and
maybe
often under
that
lights.
is something that I would say for a lot of people. I want a person that's listening to be successful with their grow. So I'll say there's different levels that people would come to, and maybe that is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know the difference between a male and a female plant, and you don't know the differences and the nuances of what it is, but you mentioned a second ago, what are the goals?
Yeah, what are the goals every time, you know?
If it's commercial growing, they might be, I want 2 seasons or 3 seasons. And then let's just give them an example. I want 3 harvests this year because of my timing, and explain to me how I might go about that.
Well, it for 3 harvests, you'll like in the same place. That's really tough even with autos in a natural light cycle. But if we're talking indoor, that's like you can do 4 to 5, 6 harvests a year almost. And so it's based on like but if you're in Hawaii, yeah, you have 3 really good seasons because you're doing auto flower on the little shoulder seasons, and you're doing your full term photo period, and you're in the full term season. And so you could have 3 seasons, but you'd have to, and you could run clones and have those same 3 seasons over there. So it's again gets back to latitude and the environment. Are we a year-round place, or are we Washington State where to get a season you're going to want auto flowers or quicks most places?
So, Jessica, you mentioned diversity. Explain to people what diversity might mean in this plant.
Sure. Well, one thing that comes up often is say the G41 crossed Canna Country 26. And we want people to really understand the 2 parental lines and what this cross is going to entail, because with a packet of seeds, even though they're all feminized, they're not all going to be exactly the same. There's differences. And so what's the process of embracing these, similar but different, and then maybe selecting for one and continuing it on to a clone form?
And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of having things to select from. And it's all about the suitability. What are they going to do with it? That's why it's so fun dealing with home gardeners and people who just love the diversity, because it's all in there. And it's equally as fun for the commercial guys, but they're often, again, it gets down to their market. A lot of the extract guys are more willing to do mixed populations because they're just putting it into extract. Well, what type of extract? Because like there's different plants in there. For instance, we're finding the clone for extract is often preferred because it's a selection made from that line. Say you get that 4 to 8% from fresh frozen to rosin yield on a seed line. Well, there's some 8%ers in there, and like the line itself was a 4.8, but you get that clone of that 8%er. So it's all about what we're talking about.
You bring up a great point. I think there's a big difference between commercial ability, profitability, and expression in this plant. If you're talking to a commercial person, as Reggie just mentions, it's about the numbers. They need to hit specific numbers. That either needs to squish or push or sift. It has to do what it's supposed to do to make that market work. And right now, we have a lot of different growers that might grow for a specific purpose, not just general flower.
Yep. Oh, the diversity is the key for them. More
Yeah.
SKUs, more different things. Yep. But like if they're the flower guys, it's they'll often do some R&D and get their clones to approach the market and have that thing that they can really put the time, energy, and attention into marketing and bringing to the public, and have it there again when people finally get around to asking for it.
One of the things that I'm not going to tell you that there's a better A or B, because when we're breeding, we also use cloning techniques to perfect our breeding. So it's not to say that we don't use cloning in breeding, because we do. That's how we get to where we get, and it's a process. Explain a little bit about the male female process in breeding.
Well, the female is the receiver. It's the one that makes the seeds. We love Sinsemilla because it's without seeds. And the male is the pollen bearer. And so the pollen, it's only 6% of flowering plants are even dioecious, a male and a female. And cannabis seems to be one. And there was just a paper out saying it had evolved from a single sex or gender. So it went into this X and Y chromosome. And so the pollen that is very slippery and it flies, it's a wind pollinated plant, which is why I say pollen is hazardous. You think you're good at making seeds, it's easier than you think. Are you good at not making seeds where you don't want to make seeds? Like, so the male goes on the female about between 3 and 6 weeks later, the seeds are getting a brown hole around them and they're ready to go, depending on the maturity and the temperature and all the environment. And then you got your seeds. And when you use a male, a true male, with a true female, you get about 50-50 male and female in the next generation. And we call these regular seeds. When we transition a female into becoming a male, which we do celebrate our transitioned females into males,
I would like to
we make
stop for a
female
second
only.
so you can explain what that transition is, because when you talk about taking a female to produce pollen, that this is another step. And I know we're getting a little complicated for a novice person, but explain that a little
But
bit.
hold on. The easiest way to do that is just walk up to the bud and go, "What's your preferred pronoun?" Right? And so I'm in San Francisco. I know this, folks. Sorry, go on.
But
Sorry, the experts in the field should really
I like the way you bring that up. Is what is the expression of the plant in its pronoun?
Yeah, well, these females that we've really mapped, and I lived for years, I avoided feminized breeding, but now I see it for commercial purposes as being the way. And because nobody wants a bunch of males to pull. And maybe if we had figured out like the people are going different directions with it, but to get back to transitioning these females that we know so much about, it's a chemical transition, but it boils down to blocking their ethylene production. Like a lot of fruits ripen with ethylene. Well, the female plant, if you block its ethylene, it becomes, it grows male architecture. It grows the pollen. It does everything except there's no Y chromosome. So the next gen is all female.
This is an amazing thing. This is what brings seed, in my opinion, into the future of mass production. Because when in real practice, if you throw out 1,000 seeds and you've got to have somebody walk the fields, and your goal is to make without seed flour, it's just a really difficult thing. You're going to have mistakes. But with this feminized product, what is the ratio? You do have a male every once in a while. Is
Like
that the
3
case?
or 4,000, but we've seen actually way less, more like 10,000.
Right.
on a
So
lot.
it is not something that we're talking about as so hazardous. If somebody walks the field, they're going to see this anomaly plant. It is not going to look
Well,
like
no, a
its
wind
counterpart.
pollinated plant is hazardous.
Explain
'cause
to
it's-
them the distance that pollen will fly.
Oh,
And
didn't
Reg
it go
just
from
said it.
Morocco to Spain?
What?
Yeah,
I thought
like,
you were gonna say like the smell of a skunk, like 2 miles
No.
or something crazy.
it carries its own. It has its own gravity or anti-gravity, where you see it just floating like
I have
fine
watched
ash.
it. If you ever get to where you have something that can actually see the pollen is so much lighter than air. It absolutely moves incredibly with the wind stream.
And there's
Anytime I've
5
ever
million
seen-
grains in a gram.
5 million grains per gram.
Well, I think nature finds a way. If we've been making it so difficult for the male, he's had to be really creative in how to be
Yeah.
successful.
I like that. That is a great point. Paul, you want to introduce the studio? You want to open up to the lines and let people know that
Oh,
we're here?
absolutely. You guys, you can get in on the conversation. That's right. You can dial in right now. And hey, why listen to my real voice when you can listen to a canned one anytime? Here we go.
The studio hotline is open 650-503-3435.
So again, we always want people to participate, have questions. We're just having fun today. What is the next thing? How about trends in breeding? What do you think the trends are?
Breeding.
today?
You know, it's when we went to Europe, a lot more people were asking for male female seeds, and that was cool. So and there's been some papers out now. I guess Kevin McKernan, I need to read it, put out something about the Y chromosome maybe being lacking or having brought something that we may be missing down the line. And there's talk about the feminized breeding maybe not being best for the genome. So I think a return back to or maybe not a reason not to lose the Y chromosome completely, because a lot of people I know who breed the most actually do just feminized breeding in a lot of ways now. So like some people are bringing the Y chromosome back. What's new? Like emerging markets from where we stand in California are new to us. And these are the markets asking for the jack back, asking for terpenoline, asking for the old school things that they've only heard about, you know? And so like that's kind of cutting edge in an old school way. Because in California, I think what's new and cutting edge is everybody doing it themselves. And I like that too, because like even if I go to most R&Ds in the last few years, and there's a very narrow range on the West Coast of what people have been hunting. And it's, I think we're coming to the other side of that of like what's next people are asking about. Well, it's pushing the envelope on the different things, but it's really market to market, you know? You go to one market, everybody wants Jack. The other one, they hate Jack. They want Blue Dream. And the other one, they only do OG.
It's purple or green. Whatever it is, they want the opposite.
There you go. And this is too dry. Wait a minute. They said it was too wet.
So, Reg, let me ask you, promoting an individual to grow this plant, and why would they want to buy your seed?
Well, one big thing, we trial them before we get them out. So we've seen many faces of them. Another thing is that we really collected a diverse palette to paint with for certain things. We've got our testing that affirms the diversity of what our noses and mouths said to begin with. And now we have these different dominant terpene profiles. We have different resistances that we've really explored the plants and how they come together. And so also like we have lived with these plants for so long that we've mapped them in so many ways. And so that's a big part of it, is like, this isn't just something that's coming through and we decided we accidentally seeded ourselves. So we're going to sell some seeds.
I really like that, because today I'm in firm belief that there's a lot of seed companies, because we know this, many seed companies sell other people's seeds.
Stop it. Quit it.
They
Cut
do?
it out.
Yeah. So again,
Thank God I was sitting.
you
Okay,
just
go back.
never know,
Yeah.
you know, very rarely will you actually hear somebody that actually grew the seed, that had a purpose. And that's why we think Canna Country is such a great opportunity for y'all to be able to buy seeds. Lots of different expression and a serious intent to grow some of the finest cannabis. I've never seen anybody. Let's talk a little bit about number 26. 26 is a very interesting osamine-based plant. Tell these people a little bit about 26.
26, she is a big grower. She grows like a fountain, I say. She grows up to fountain out. Her seed plant, the mother plant of them all, was about 13 feet tall. And even though we bind them up pretty good because we're in a windy spot, like I could picture her actually being as wide as she was tall, and those wide branches that were so thick, just hitting the ground and maybe rooting down or not, but just like a 13-foot
Wow.
globe I could see. And as a clone, she's on the later half of our harvest, which is great. She grows vigorously. We really loved breeding with her because in her background there's more stable forms than she is, and in her generation I did a lot of the grading of their architecture and such. And she just what architecture, what support, what stability. She was just a flopper, like a train wreck of a plant. But down the line, a lot of them hold themselves up. So
She
it's
got
like
the
depends on
strength.
what it goes with.
Are
And
you able to Jurassic Park it? Hold on. Okay, so are you able to take like, hey, we want the pollination thing from a bee, we want the poison from the frog, and we want. So are you able to narrow down the genetics from, let's say, the 26 being a great producer and a big, beautiful plant, to some of the strains that we really love but don't produce as much?
yeah, we've put it with some of our tinier things, and it actually made them bigger. But not every line is like that. There's the general combining ability, the way that plant is across different populations, what's the most stable. And these days, a lot of clone onlys don't have much general combining ability. You just see the donor there, the mate that went with it.
We wouldn't get any recessive traits necessarily from the clone that we might get from the seed.
Maybe, and when you self seeds, like the big thing a lot of people are doing these days, selfing clones and S1, and that like shakes it all up. You get the double recessives and stuff in that population, and so
Can you explain BX maybe?
yeah, back cross.
Back crossing, and what you just
Well,
mentioned.
when we take a male and a female, like everybody throws around this term F1. And it really is, in plants, it's two pure breeding lines that
Yeah,
come
it's hard
together
to do an F1
to
right? I
make
mean,
an
for
F1. We're
real.
getting closer and closer, and some of us accidentally have seen that at times. Put something together, and in that field, everything is the same face, and so that's what an F1 is. Both parents had such
Got it.
homogeneousness that came together and
Boom.
made something that complemented each other the same way in every expression. But down the line in the F2, you get the segregation. So F1 looks the same. F2 is segregating. But if you bred that F1
To
with an F1, a
F3.
brother and a sister, you've just made F2 seeds. When you breed the two F2s, you make F3 seeds.
Wow.
At some point, if you take that and back cross it to one of the ancestral lines, parental
mother
lines, then
or
it's a
father.
back cross one way or another. These days, we're using the S1 as a selfed one. It's an exact clone that got reversed to make pollen to breed with itself. That's an S1, a self. And there's R1, which is reversal one, which I like to do more, is take a population of regular seeds, pull the males out, and reverse some females. And then that's an R1. And I do it in an open populated sort of way, like 10 to 20% of the donors to the receivers. And then I have the R1 batch, multiple males, multiple females.
You know, it's to me that is so intriguing piece of information right there. That is next level for most people. I know this seems like it's very technical, but it has to be to produce what it is that you produce.
Well, I
Um,
think luck and for being fortunate can do it too, but to keep doing it and to have seed lines that progress to more and more stability in those traits that you're hoping to be most prevalent, that is the goal of most breeding programs.
Can you tell the people that are listening where they might be able to get your seeds?
alpineseedgroup.com is one of our main purveyors of seeds.
Excellent, excellent. So just to let everybody know, you know, we're here sending out information and talking about this plant. We're going to move on to the next subject, which is certificate of analysis.
Mhm.
What do you all think? COA, you hear the term. Explain to the people what a COA is.
It's another data point, and it's really come about in the legal age, which is cool because we get tested for pesticides and heavy metals and molds and mildews quite often. And so it's pretty cool that we're getting safety tests for the herb plant. And we're also getting it chemically tested for cannabinoids, usually, I think, 12 different analytes and often up to 36 terpenes, even though we know there's way more. And so, what it's telling me about diversity, we always knew we selected for diversity because we're smelling them. You know, there's that lemon pine one. Oh, there's that super sweet mango one. You know, and now we know, like, oh, we have pinene dominant, we have limonene dominant cultivars, the osamine we've talked about, and that's pretty thrilling to get that data point. But I think it's really influenced everybody's THC bias. Like, it's created THC bias because of its. That's the first thing on the thing that everybody looks for is what's the THC percentage.
And you mentioned a molecule like THC. Let's break that down into some of its delta 7, delta 8, delta 9, THCP, THCV, THCO. I haven't hit them all. This is one molecule with a lot.
Oh
of
no, you hit them
expression.
all.
with a lot of expression.
Right.
And the science will catch up. I really can't wait until every little number or letter that I spit out, they can come back and tell us, without absolutes, but in general directions,
Yeah.
what these things can do.
Yep.
I've been really blessed to see miraculous results from these compounds. I work in a lot of medicinal areas, and for pain, for arthritis, you don't have to make claims to people that use these products.
Mhm.
They'll buy next month. When they buy every month for 12 years, you kind of know they like the products.
Yep.
Again, what are some of the seeds that you would recommend people that are listening would buy?
Depends on where they're growing them. It's and what they're growing them for. Like, we have things with Canna Country selections, like the things that are most resilient, that grow in the widest amount of environments, and we have some that really want a dry environment or can take a wet environment. Or so it's like flavor. It's again, it gets back to our peculiarities. It's like, what do we like? What do you like? You want some color?
You started talking about limonene and lemonine, and those are the way I always lean towards the citrusy kind of stuff. I do. The note hits my nose and it's like boom.
Yep.
And you're right. We do get THC bias and percentage bias because it's like, ooh, this is a great flavor, and then you look and you're like, oh, but really?
Yeah. This is what's hampered the 26 getting on shelves. 2 years ago, we had a
It's a conspiracy,
miraculous
right? It's a
test.
conspiracy.
Well, I don't know, but we had a miraculous test that was 24.5% THC, where she's usually 16. That's when
Right.
she got second at Emerald Cup. She won Canny Fest in
At
Eureka in
16, right?
2023. Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
didn't
so-
win it at 24.
Well, we didn't put in.
For
We didn't.
user experience.
So yeah,
it
the
was a
user
winner.
experience is top notch, but the dispensaries all say it's stupid, but when they say it's too low, the THC, yeah, we can't take that. It's stupid, but
Yeah, I was fortunate this last week to go into dispensaries up north, and he had a do not disappoint shelf.
nice.
That's how he called it. And he smoked every day, and he had his shelf, and it had numbers on it. The numbers are a little bit deceiving to anybody that listens. To quote Ethan, the entourage effect of cannabis is each individual strain. And don't be deceived by a high number or a low number. You really want to try to give all these plants an equal chance. How they work with the individual chemotype of a body is incredible. And I have people that specifically find a genetic that works for them.
Yep.
So again, when you're out there selecting and trying different things, it's really hard because I think most people that are listening are allowed to grow 6 plants. We would hope that we got 50% of this country that's allowed to grow 6 plants.
Depending on where you're currently standing.
You know,
in
we
this
don't
county, it's
endorse-
like 13, and so
Yeah.
So the other thing I was gonna say is, how do we? Everybody reacts to these different strains differently, and even like we were talking about it earlier today or yesterday, that I'm looking for a strain that's not even really THC. Maybe I'm looking for what we used to call in high school. It used to be the sticky, icky, whatever, but it was like California no high. It looked the part, it played the part, it tasted the part, but zero THC.
Was it red hair no high?
It
Red
was
hair,
a
no
red
high.
hair no high.
See, he
This is a
knows.
one to
about that.
one. This is THC and CBD, and it's I call it windshield wipers when I'm getting really stoned on THC through the day.
They
They'll
look
get
like
me
little
back on
mini
track.
windshield wipers or lollipops, but okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. So, and sometimes I'm looking for that effect, and
Yep.
sometimes I want the heavier feel.
This is why I totally advocate people getting to know their stash and getting to know, like, how far are we ever from our stash, you know? And
About
the
4 feet.
stash is all these different characters. And I'm like, okay, this purple one. Everybody can smoke it, bring it to a party, even people who are a little apprehensive about THC. It's a really easy one. But the one-to-ones these days, I'm going to name it after Sebastopol something. Sebastopol over 40. Because I go to a party with 101s and it's everybody will smoke them and 3 people will smoke the THC. Like it's an interesting one. So the stash is what's so cool. Like get that one. That's why like everybody just having whatever ratio of their smoke. Like some people could take a gram for a year and some of us need to get an ounce or a QP at a time of the different ones. And then by the end of your stash, you're like, I loved that one for these moments and I liked that one for those moments.
Well, and that's why I asked you if you're at the point of where we're Jurassic Parking it. I mean, are we literally taking the mosquito out of the amber at this point? Are we literally being able to? Well, we're kind of already making designer bud, and I'm using finger quotes, folks, but we're already kind of doing that in a way. We're kind of selecting what we want, but are we able to really deep dive, dig into those?
I think
genetics?
that's what we do as we are the tester, and that's why we feel for ourselves. We're part of that population that can do all sorts of things, feel for ourselves, not be totally bowled over or affected by it. And there's the low side effects of the ganja, but I think we may need to, like, if we're doing it in a way where you can go up to a booth and get your finger pricked and all of a sudden they DNA'd you and then they DNA'd the herb, and people are working on this, putting the genome with the herb. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I want a stimulant, and it's like, oh, bing, bing, bing. But they
Bing,
might get
boom.
rid of the herb by then. It's just going to be a little laser that hits
I
you where
think
you
you're
need
exactly
it.
right. That's where it'll go to.
Oh wow!
I firmly believe that. The tech's there. They'll do that. And in medicine, they'll do it even more. What they're doing in Israel is they'll pull your blood, they'll do the DNA test, they'll check your histories, they'll check the type of issue that you have, and then they'll check their database to how to treat that.
Mhm.
That's pretty incredible. I'm amazed that we're not a little bit more advanced in some of that.
Yeah, there are more and more, and again, we're at our infancy of something here. There's more and more groups that are putting together groups of people to study the science and actually drill down into the COAs, and who are using the human genome and all of this to really like identify certain things and trying to drill down into the potential medicinal merit of these different cultivars, for instance.
If there's anything out there in the audience that they would like to ask any questions, our lines are open. Paul, what's that number?
All right, that phone number again, guys, is 650-503-3435. Again, that's 650-503-3435. And yes, I live for those moments. You guys just lit up when I turned on the voice. You're like, wait, hold on, isn't that the automated? No, that's really my voice.
That's
I
Paul.
came out like this. I'm sorry, blame my mother. All right, here we are. We are back live in studio. And I was trying to I just wanted to let you know that Wes is not having a problem with alcoholism. He's really not that red. So I just adjusted his.
No, it's warm.
Now
out
he's
here.
going to look more pale. So here we go. So I looked over. I was like looking at our monitor behind us. I was like, did he get sunburnt when we were outside? What's going on? So
We were in the
this
day.
is really what he looks like. Now he looks more gray. Ringo's back.
Ringo.
Right.
You were red.
When did you get here?
Bud.
Don't show me as red.
Yeah. So,
All right, Paul, I sure appreciate your punnies.
Thank you. I've been working on.
It's
Got
a
any
hit.
more? What weird humor do you have?
Oh my
for us?
gosh. Okay. So, look,
Paul,
go
let me
ahead,
ask
please,
a question.
Please, go ahead. Please.
Let me introduce Paul. Paul, you've got quite a background and comedy and a number of other things. And plus being an amazing individual, you help a lot of people do the work. Tell the people what you do, Paul.
Not only do I have a crazy background, I have a big front ground too. If you notice.
You wear it well.
I'm a writer and stand-up comedian here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Been slinging my truth for like 17 years. Been doing a podcast for the last 15 and a half years. By the name of The Edge of Insanity. My claim to fame is we used to have a segment on our show called the 420 Shout Out, where we'd shout out people like Reggie doing this, you doing what you're doing. And my guest for that hour and a half would be a gentleman named Patrick Carlin. Patrick Carlin is George Carlin's older brother. So if you guys remember George Carlin. So that's my claim to fame. I've been doing stand-up here, but in the last 3.5 years here at Edge Studios, yes, I've been helping people see their dreams come to fruition. I basically took an old podcasting studio. Yes, folks, what do they say? I rebuilt a crackhead's dream. And so I came in here, fixed all the stuff, gutted this place, turned it over to video, because that's what we started doing during the pandemic. We needed to
Video.
be able to reach out and touch someone and not get canceled.
Can you let people
So-
know how they can get to you and make this happen if they
Sure.
want to do some
If you forget my name, you can probably go to the post office. There's a little wanted poster there on the wall. But my name is Paul Brumbaugh, and you can check me out on all social media under my name. But at Edge Studios, we're all over the place. It's Edge Studios or Edge Studios Online. You can reach out to us on email at edgestudiosonline@gmail.com. So thanks for the shameless plug. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Like flip the switch. Oh wait, hold on.
You cut that guy off.
Hey.
Shut down the power grid.
But
Now,
no, I
not
was
for that
always-
weed joke.
After that weed joke. So you were just talking about a whole bunch of how do I get my material? It's just literally life. It could be from just saying silly things in a conversation like this to things I think up and go, hey, that should be funny, and then try it on stage and go, nope, that wasn't funny. And so, yeah. So if you come to one of my comedy shows and you're not laughing, just think of me more of a public speaker and an advocate for what we're doing.
Yes.
So, I just leave that way.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's I get things from life. I get things from the relationships I build with people. So
Yeah.
it's crazy, and the absurdity of what we're living through.
So, which was your favorite flavor today?
Today, I'm all over the place. I dig the sparkle pony. I really kind of lean towards the sparkle pony. See, he's got the
SPBPSP Sparkle.
Yeah,
Yep.
there it is.
You gonna fire?
Follow the bouncing.
Are you gonna burn that thing? Or are we gonna be able
Do
Yeah,
you
we
like to
can.
dry hit it?
Huh?
Do you like to dry hit your joints?
Yes, I do.
And I'm gonna give the disclaimer that no matter what you see, we're smoking hemp.
Yeah, we are smoking. It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
part of
just-
the
it's
what is
just-
it?
It's the hemp
THCA.
bill, and we are doing everything legal.
Yes, everything.
Yeah.
This is 100% like 0.000.
Zero. They
Zero,
couldn't even
zero,
find-
zero.
Yeah.
We were told, oh, this is Delta 9 THC hemp.
Oh, so today
Wait, hold on.
we get
Did
the
you just
package.
contradict
We
yourself?
get the package.
Yeah.
It comes in. It's and I'm not going to mention the company because it's very
It's
successful.
beep.
But it says it has 0 THC.
Oh yeah. Because they got rid of
THCA. It
the
has
other numbers. 0.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that printer will print zeros too.
Well, it's funny how the tech world works with these computers. Nobody can change the numbers.
Oh no, not at all. No.
That never happens.
No.
No.
That's scary though. So, but so they're able to do it, and they're doing it in all states, as far as I know. And they've
Yeah.
been in business for 5 years.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
don't we have that discussion?
Yes.
It's very interesting.
What is the
this
THCA and how is it getting
THCA.
around?
Well,
And
so
how
we're
come
getting-
everybody's not able to do it like the guys that went to a place that that the USDA
Yeah.
even said you made it, you got your test, and you're fine to harvest within 30 days. It said 2.0% THCA. It said 0.0 on Delta 9 THC. But then the sheriff came and says, "Looks like you're growing ganja. Oh, you got a test? Good. Oh, look, that 2.0, we just multiply it by 0.877 and get the total T, and you failed. You better cut this crop."
Well,
And there's
it-
new
it-
laws that are coming out from the hemp bill that Trump just signed that changes everything. So
Well-
the world doesn't even understand what's going
Well,
on.
that's
Wow,
interesting. They
sounds
don't.
good. He's
even another-
decriminalizing, or he's changing the schedule of cannabis. He did that with CBD. Thank you. And he got rid of paper straws. Okay, I like him for 3 reasons.
And also
Three
those,
reasons.
and those beer tabs that get the pelicans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those plastic
Kind of have a
things.
fear of
Yeah.
pelicans. Again, another show. So
Yeah, they're scary.
anyway, so yeah, so okay, now we're looking at this. So yeah, no, I enjoyed every bit of it. You know me, I wish they wouldn't tell me the THC content, because I think sometimes it should be the placebo effect. I
think they
want to
do.
know what this is really doing to me versus you.
Well,
Yeah.
do you
How
know
would
that?
you describe that flavor?
The sparkle pony,
No.
Yeah.
or wait, or,
The one you have here.
for one, that's not sparkle pony. Is that?
It's a Sparkle crossback. Sparkle by Black Pearl by Sparkle again.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a double, triple back.
Back cross.
See,
BC one.
It's like I could put my finger on it. I can tell it's the sparkle, but there was something else I would have said, yeah, that's a salad. You definitely mixed something here.
It's more like a fruit salad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Than a vegetable salad.
Wow, this is getting deep.
It
man.
is.
This
Is it green
deep.
or is it what color fruit?
what color is that?
So here's the thing: is then you have little tasting soirees. Holy shit! How many flavors can you sample before you start running out of descriptions?
We have the descriptions keep going because they will occupy. They'll each have their descriptors, but sometimes they'll have different groups of descriptors because you dry pull through that, and you might come up with like 4, 5, 6. Oh, and it ended on the whatever, and it might be a strain name you remember. Oh, sour D, or it
don't
might be
even remember that.
bananas, cherry, strawberry. It might be lime leaf. It might be, and who knows what. But we have bins of sisters, and it's tough to get people to go through the whole bin. I'll say that. We get maybe 60 to 100 samples in, and people start losing it.
They start losing. They
Oh, it's
run out of diction.
I gotta go. They're like, I gotta go. How can you guys just be inside on all this? And we're like, because we're rolling more. Sit down.
I've been at Reggie's.
Yeah.
I've been at Reggie's before when there's an ashtray, and I wish I could show the picture to the people, but we'll have 26 joints smoked in this ashtray, and we're just testing flower.
Yeah.
And it can't be a high thing because you're high as hell.
Yeah. You're psychedelic
Yeah,
high at
you're
that point.
psycho.
Yeah,
high.
at that point,
Yeah, you're on another planet.
And
But
that's
yet
what happens.
you're sitting there smoking for the taste. You're going, oh, I like the little flavor of this or that.
But then every now and then, one
Stands out.
wins the name Fog Cutter.
yeah.
It takes
Oh,
a special one to cut through that fog in the end, and
We
if
used
you
to
can
call
feel
it
one
the
there,
moose paralyzer.
yeah,
So that's the fuck.
the gorilla dart.
So, what do you think we take a break and
Yep.
we'll come back? And thanks for everybody for listening. Again, this is Edge of Insanity Studios here out of San Francisco. Look us up.
Look us up.